Kami mohon perhatian hadirin. Upacara sidang terbuka Institut Teknologi Bandung dalam rangka penganugerahan Doktor Kehormatan kepada Profesor Dr. Peter Agre akan segera dimulai.
Ladies and gentlemen, may we have your attention please? The open session of Institut Teknologi Bandung for the awarding of honorary doctor is about to begin.
Majelis Wali Amanat, Senat Akademik, para guru besar beserta pimpinan Institut Teknologi Bandung, dan tamu kehormatan akan memasuki ruangan.
Rector, Board of Trustees, Academic Senate, Professor and Executive of Institut Teknologi Bandung, and honorable guests will enter the assembly hall.
Hadirin dimohon berdiri.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise.
Hadirin disilakan duduk kembali.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
Rektor Institut Teknologi Bandung akan membuka sidang terbuka Institut Teknologi Bandung.
Rector of Institut Teknologi Bandung will officially declare the opening of the session.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hadirin yang kami hormati, pada hari ini Rabu tanggal 22 Maret tahun 2017, Institut Teknologi Bandung menyelenggarakan sidang terbuka Institut Teknologi Bandung dengan acara penganugerahan Doktor Kehormatan kepada Profesor Dr. Peter Agre. Institut Teknologi Bandung mengucapkan terima kasih atas kehadiran saudara-saudara pada sidang terbuka ini. Maka dengan menyebut nama Allah yang Maha Pengasih dan Maha Penyayang, dengan ini kami nyatakan sidang terbuka Institut Teknologi Bandung resmi dibuka.
Indonesia Raya, merdeka, merdeka, hiduplah Indonesia Raya.
Mengheningkan cipta dipimpin oleh Rektor Institut Teknologi Bandung.
A moment of silence in honor of the late Indonesian patriots.
Marilah kita mengheningkan cipta untuk mengenang jasa-jasa para pahlawan bangsa dan pahlawan pendidikan ITB yang telah mendahului kita. Mengheningkan cipta dimulai. Selesai.
Hadirin disilakan duduk kembali.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
Sambutan Founding Chairman of the International Peace Foundation, Mr. Agre Morawetz.
Ladies and gentlemen, the founding chairman of the International Peace Foundation, Mr. Agre Morawetz.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, friends, welcome to the 6th ASEAN event series, Bridges, Dialogues Towards a Culture of Peace. Bridges is facilitated by the International Peace Foundation a non-political and non-religious foundation under the patronage of 20 Nobel Peace Prize laureates based in Vienna. The events are hosted in cooperation with various local partners, including some of the country's major universities, and I would like to thank Bandung Institute of Technology for hosting our event today. Having started in January this year, Bridges has been continuously held in Indonesia until this March, involving the participation of Nobel laureates for physics, chemistry, medicine, economics and peace. The 6th ASEAN series of Bridges follows the series of over 600 Bridges events which the International Peace Foundation has already hosted in many ASEAN countries since the year 2003 as an independent contribution to the Decade for a Culture of Peace and Nonviolence, initiated and promoted by the United Nations General Assembly. The pluralistic program of Bridges highlights the International Peace Foundation's intercultural and transdisciplinary approach towards peace. The Foundation does not take sides, but acts as a mediator by creating an independent platform for dialogue where representatives for science, politics, economy, culture, religion, the media and youth can meet, share their viewpoints, listen to each other, and find mutual ways of understanding and cooperation. Therefore, the Foundation itself is a bridge and a facilitator between different language groups in our divided societies, where politicians speak another language than artists, and business and religious leaders another one than scientists. In a highly interdependent world, problems cannot be solved by either one of these language groups only, but by finding ways of working together. The ASEAN Bridges series comprises events with Nobel laureates from all fields. The Nobel laureates visit the region, not all at once, but separately, to conduct public lectures, seminars, workshops and dialogue hosted by local institutions during a continued period of several months. The topics of the ongoing events deal with the overall theme of building a culture of peace and dialogue in a globalized world, and with a wide range of issues in the fields of politics, economy, science, culture and the media. They especially highlight the challenges of both globalization and regionalism and its impact on development and international cooperation. The aim of Bridges is to facilitate and strengthen dialogue and communication between societies in Southeast Asia with their multiple cultures and faiths, as well as peoples in other parts of the world, to promote understanding and trust. The events aim at building bridges with local universities in Southeast Asia to establish long-term relationships with Nobel laureates in all fields, which may result in common research programs and other forms of collaboration. By enhancing science, technology and education as a basis for peace and development, the events may lead to better cooperation for the advancement of peace, freedom and security in the region, with the active involvement of the young generation, ASEAN's key to the future. This is why Bridges is not designed as a one-time event, but as a continuous process of synergies to make the series of events a sustainable success for Indonesia and for Southeast Asia as a whole. I am grateful to the Indonesia Honorary Chairman of Bridges, His Excellency Dr. Muhammad Yusuf Kalla, to the Bandung Institute of Technology, as well as to our other partners and sponsors who have helped us to enable to make Bridges a reality. I would like to thank everyone present today for taking part in this program. May it help us to facilitate a new culture of peace through dialogue, transcending its definition as merely the absence of war or armed conflict into a new understanding what the basis for peace is: education. In this spirit, we welcome today the 2003 Nobel Laureate for Chemistry, Dr. Peter Agre, and his wife, who has agreed to come to Indonesia to support the events, and we all look forward to his keynote speech and to his important contribution to build bridges. Welcome, Dr. Peter Agre.
Under the decree of Rector of ITB number 074/A/I1.A/KP/2017 pertaining to the awarding of honorary doctor to Professor Dr. Peter Agre, today Institut Teknologi Bandung will hereby award honorary doctorate degree to Professor Dr. Peter Agre for his remarkable achievements and services in biochemistry. The promoters are Professor Akmal Laka PhD, Professor Deli Nurrahmandi Asi, Profesor Dr. Tati Suryati Samsudin DLA.
Selanjutnya kami silakan Ketua Tim Promotor Profesor Dr. Amaloka PhD untuk menyampaikan pidato pertanggungjawaban promotor.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Dr. Ahmaloka PhD to deliver his promoter address.
Excellencies, Professor Peter Agre, Nobel Laurate of Chemistry 2003, and Madam, honorable guests from International Peace Foundation, honorable Rector and Vice Rectors, honorable Chairwoman and Member of Board of Trustees, honorable Chairman and Member of Academic Senate, all of distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, selamat pagi, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It is an honor for me to stand here introducing Professor Peter Agre achievement on the occasion of an honorary doctor presentation to Professor Agre. As all of you know, ITB is the oldest technical university in Indonesia. In the next 3 years, Institut Teknologi Bandung will be 100 years old. As the oldest technical university in the country, ITB brings the vision to outstanding, distinguished, independence, and international recognized university that lead change toward welfare improvement of the Indonesian and the global. ITB also keep to innovate, to share and to apply the science and technology, and to produce excellent human resources for better Indonesia and the world. ITB is also active to contribute in enhancing the Human Development Index of Indonesia through the program of education, research, and community services. One of national program to control the infectious disease, such as malaria, is to reduce annual parasite incidence. As we know, malaria is an infectious disease caused by Plasmodium parasites that live and grow in the human red blood cell. Malaria is transmitted by the infected mosquito bite. According to the World Health Organization estimation, there are 212 million cases of malaria in 2015, and 429,000 are dead. In Indonesia, malaria death rank 8 of 10 lethal disease. Nowadays, 70% malaria cases take place in the east region of Indonesia, including Papua, West Papua, Maluku, North Maluku, Sulawesi, and Nusa Tenggara. They are distributed in 84 countries with 16 million persons indicated high risk to malaria. Effort to reduce malaria cases, including protection of people at risk of malaria with insecticide-treated mosquito nets and indoor residual spraying, development of anti-malaria medicine, as well as early diagnosis and treatment of malaria, including artemisinin combination therapy, reduce the disease and prevent the death. Government of Republic of Indonesia targets to be free of malaria case by 2030. Dr. Peter Agre is Professor of Biological Chemistry and Professor of Medicine at the Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine, as well as the Director of Johns Hopkins Malaria Research Institute at the Bloomer School of Public Health in Baltimore. He was awarded 2003 Nobel Prize for Chemistry for the study he began in the late 1980s concerning channel in the cell membrane. Dr. Agre received his Bachelor in Chemistry from Asberg College in 1970 and his MD from Johns Hopkins University in 1974. Following an international medicine residency at Case Western Reserve University Hospital of Cleveland and Hematology Oncology Fellowship at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, Dr. Agre returned to Johns Hopkins as postdoc fellow in cell biology. He joined the faculty in 1984 and has spent most of his professional life at Hopkins School of Medicine, leaving in 2005 to become Vice Chancellor for the Science and Technology at the Duke University Medical Center in the North Carolina, where he guided the development of Duke's biomedical research. He returned to Hopkins and GHMRI in 2008, has given Dr. Agre the opportunity to concentrate on an area in which he was always been interested, the problem of disease in developing country. In 2008, Professor Peter Agre served as Director of Johns Hopkins Malaria Research Institute at the Bloomer School of Public Health, oversees scientific training and research effort of 20 faculty research groups, and perform the field study in Zimbabwe and Zambia. Dr. Agre is interested in mechanisms governing malaria disease, including the development of resistant malaria mosquito, designing new malaria vaccine, studying biological target for anti-malaria drugs, and discovering new anti-malaria drugs. With GHMRA SUBA, Agre established mini modern research campus in which scientists from Africa and Johns Hopkins University work together, like playing artemisinin combination therapy in 2003 and distributing insecticide-treated mosquito nets in 2007. Malaria cases reduced 96% to the children at Makkah, Zambia. Dr. Agre focused on the research on molecular aspect of human disease, including hemolytic anemia, blood group antigens, and malaria. In 2003, Agre shared Nobel Prize in Chemistry with Roderick McKinnon from Rockefeller University for discoveries of channel in the cell membrane. As hematologist, Dr. Agre studied the rhesus blood group antigen. He injected series of rabbits with partial purified 32 kilodalton rhesus polypeptide. He observed the antibody produced by rabbits did not react with the cough of 32 kilodalton rhesus polypeptide. However, the antibodies only treat with 28 kilodalton polypeptide. Actually, it is a contaminated protein in rhesus preparation. Agre and his colleagues explored the 28 kilodalton protein further. The 28 kilodalton protein was approximately 200,000 copies per red blood cell and formed membrane-spanning homotetramer. No one succeeded to observe the protein because it did not react with the Comasi blue stain. Gray ultimately purified the 28 kilodalton protein in large amount from the membrane of human red blood cell. With the information of N-terminal amino acid sequence of the purified protein, primers were designated to obtain cDNA, and the cDNA was cloned to express 28 kilodalton proteins. Using same antibody, similar protein was found abundant in human kidney. Yet, the protein function remains unknown. Collaboration with Bill Gugino, Hopkins Department of Physiology, the 28 kilodalton protein is expressed in frog eggs isolated from Xenobus levis, an expression system known to have low water permeability. Put recombinant acid expressing the 28 kilodalton proteins and the control acid look same morphology. The differences are observed when they are transferred from isotonic solution to distilled water. All 6 control acids are unaffected, whereas all 6 28 kilodalton acids immediately explode like popcorn. Known from the first experiment, the 28 kilodalton protein must be the water channel, later called aquaporin. The gate proceeding agrees many group of pions in the water transport will exist, such as Arthur Solomon from Boston, Alan Finkelstein from New York, Robert McKay from Berkeley, Jules Benga from Romania, Guillermo Wittenberg from Venezuela, and Mario Parisi from Argentina. However, Agre showed the difference between diffusional channels mediate water permeability. Aquaporin protein possesses very high capacity to permeate water. They are selected to permeate water, not hydrogen ions. The unit water permeability of aquaporin was found to be around 3 × 10⁻⁹ water molecule per subunit per second. While transport under solute or ions, including proton, was insignificant. Thus, this way elucidate aquaporin in our kidney that reabsorb 99% of the water from the primary filtrate to prevent us from dehydrated, and the systemic acidosis never occurred. The discovery of aquaporin by Dr. Agre, together with his colleagues, inspire us and show an example of serendipity. This may open our new horizons to learn and to collaborate in education and research among us. Still, many problems of tropical disease remain mystery. We here may learn, practice, and mimic the way of thinking how Dr. Peter Agre reveals molecular basis of disease. Furthermore, Dr. Agre does not only impact the pure scientific discovery, but also contribute to social and humanistic relevance. As President of the American Association for Advanced Science, Peter Agre has led Science in Diplomacy mission to Cuba, the Republic People of Korea, Iran, and Myanmar. He also has received 17 honorary doctor degree from university in Denmark, Greece, Hungary, Japan, Mexico, Norway, Poland, and the United States. With all of his outstanding achievement, on behalf of Institute Teknologi Bandung, we are honored to present honorary doctor degree to Professor Peter Agre, and also to recognition and respect of his work in the field of medical biochemistry. Thank you, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Pidato ilmiah oleh Profesor Dr. Peter Agre.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Dr. Peter Agre.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. It is a great honor to be here at ITB. This is something my wife Mary and I have been looking forward to, and you have no idea how much it pleases us to be with you. But we live in dangerous times. As an American scientist, and some in my country speak aggressively against Islam. It is a pleasure to be in the largest Muslim country in the world to talk about something we all love, science. It brings us together. So I'm going to spend the next 40 minutes, and I will time myself, presenting an update of the Nobel lecture. This is a lecture I presented in Stockholm, 2003. And I think it'll project behind me. Now, I was understanding there'd be a clicker so I could advance the slides. Oh, is it left? Of our bodies, it was predicted that water would pass through the cell membranes by simple diffusion. If you look at the upper left figure, water trickling through the membrane bilayer. But this is not enough to explain massive movements of water in certain tissues, such as renal tubules in our kidneys, secretory glands, and red cells. And it was predicted, not by me, but by other scientists, there must be water-selective channels. So if you look at the upper right panel, you see what we call aquaporin water channels. And there's a discovery of the aquaporins that brought me the Nobel, and it's advanced science far beyond what our own laboratory did. The movement of water through the aquaporins is by simple osmosis, something that every school child learns about at school. Osmosis occurs in all cells, but in some cells very rapidly because of the aquaporins. Now, as was mentioned in the introduction, the discovery of the aquaporins recognized a 28 kilodalton polypeptide. And I won't go through the technical details because you're scientists, and some of you have already read the papers, but in fact, what this represented was a serendipitous observation, an unexpected discovery, because we were studying the rhesus blood group antigens and found a second protein which we didn't know was there. Scientists all over the world, here at ITB and elsewhere, are constantly making discoveries which they did not expect. So the discovery involved the cloning of the complementary DNA expressing this new protein. And when we studied the predicted sequence, it was thought to encode a membrane-spanning protein, and if you look at the upper right, that's meant to represent the lipid bilayer, with a protein going through the membrane 6 times. But we didn't know the function of this protein. In the genetics database, we did this work in the early 1990s, which to me doesn't seem so long ago. To the young people, the students, of course, that's a long time ago. The database contained a series of DNAs encoding similar proteins in diverse organisms, in the lens of eye of beef cattle, brains of insects, bacteria, and plants. What could these all share? And it may seem obvious now, but in the beginning we didn't know what it shared. But it was a conversation with a generous scientist at the University of North Carolina. They gave us the idea this might be the long-sought water channel that causes renal tubules and red cells to be so permeable to water. And so we did a simple experiment. Scientists make their living by doing simple experiments. So if you look at the panel on the upper left, you'll see 2 spherical objects. These are frog eggs, Xenopus laevis, 1 millimeter in diameter. And frogs lay eggs in the springtime all over the world. I'm sure here in Indonesia, frogs are laying eggs right now. But if frog eggs are not fertilized, they're dormant and have very low water permeability. So the idea was very simple. In the upper left, we have a control oocyte injected with buffer alone. In the upper right, we have an oocyte injected with the complementary RNA from the soup protein. They're cultured together, and there's no obvious difference. Now, of course, as scientists, you all recognize the culture medium is isotonic. If we transfer now to distilled water, there'll be an osmotic gradient. The control oocyte should not swell, the test oocyte should swell and explode. Exactly what happened. There's much jubilation in the laboratory. This is something scientists share all over the world, a discovery. No matter the magnitude of the discovery, something new produces jubilation. This is Greg Preston, the postdoc who helped us with these early studies. We've functionally verified that, in fact, this was water channel by reconstituting into synthetic membranes. And the micrographs shown here, collaboration with our colleagues in Denmark, shows the reconstitution of simple membrane vesicles in the upper left, smooth surfaces. In the lower left, we have reconstitution of the pure protein. If you look at the bumps and the surfaces of these vesicles. And we test for the ability to swell, the ability to shrink after rapid transfer. You can see that the upper tracing reaches equilibrium in about a half a second. And the lower right tracing reaches equilibrium in just a few milliseconds. In an instant. So the aquaporins really explain the velocity of water movement. And we worked very hard to establish a structure. And the structure, which we refer to as the hourglass model, goes with the 6 bilayer spanning domains, which exist actually as an internal repeat. If you look closely, the sequence has 3 bilayer spanning domains and 3 more in the opposite orientation. And if they fold together, they fold together, they form a single set. They can go down to
the center of the molecule, the water channel. And in collaboration with other scientists around the world, we're really a community of scientists. And our studies initially with Yoshinori Fujiyoshi from Kyoto on the left, and Andreas Engel from the Biocentrum in Basel, Switzerland, allowed us to establish a structure of high resolution. In the upper left, the left panel, you see a single membrane spanning form subunit with a hole in the center. That hole in the center is 3 angstroms diameter, precisely large enough to allow a single water bottle filled with gas. And by diagram, we demonstrate the function of it. The upper vestibule, the extracellular vestibule, and the inner vestibule contain water in bulk solution. Water, of course, in nature is a liquid because of hydrogen bonding between water molecules. But in the very center, you'll see the water moves through the narrowest part of the channel in single file with barriers to prevent the movements of charged solids and larger solids. And this is work of the young scientists. This is always the work of young scientists. Scientists here around the world making that progress. And by space-filling representation, you can see a single water molecule filling the center cavity surrounded by special resonance to prevent the movement of other solutes, solvents. So as a physician, of course, was very interested in human physiology, and we teamed up again with other young scientists. This is Søren Nielsen from the University of Aarhus in Denmark, a superb microscopist with whom we worked together to localize the presence of that foreign protein. It's in the proximal nephron. The diagram of the nephron on the left shows that the glomerulus is the considered thin limb of the lipid family, where the aquaporin proteins are abundantly expressed. And if you look at a thin section in the lower left, there's a micrograph showing a tubule in transverse section. The protein is present in the luminal membrane and the abdominal membrane. And this basically allows water to cross the cell membranes. And by diagram form in this figure, you can see a single cell in renal tubular epithelium, allowing water from above the primary urine to pass through the cell, carried by aquaporin 1. And our bodies are extremely efficient in doing this every day. Every day, each of us will filter about 200 liters of plasma and reabsorb 99% of the water because this is such an efficient system. Now, as a physician, we're also interested in specific disease relevance. And there was work of a young scientist, Shilso Moon from Seoul National University, who's a graduate student in our laboratory, who identified the structural gene for aquaporin 1 in the short arm of chromosome 7, coincident with the structural gene for a blood group antigen, coltin. And this allowed us to determine that the coltin antigen was a polymorphism in the aquaporin 1 protein. And with that, we were able to identify the rarest individuals lacking the coltin blood group antigen and having mutations in the aquaporin 1 gene. And in fact, these people look and feel pretty normal. In this photograph, with permission, is a retired school teacher from the south of France who has a mutation in her aquaporin 1 genes. She can't make the protein. And if you look at the panel on the far right, you'll see the ability of all of us, normal individuals, to concentrate our urine after overnight thirsting to about 1,000 milliosmolar. But to the left of that, you see that the aquaporin 1 null individuals can only concentrate to about 400 milliosmolar. They cannot concentrate their urine fully, which means they're releasing dilute urine in the face of dehydration. If they did not have access to water, they did not have access to the solvent of life, they would die of dehydration long before any of us would become symptomatic. And the protein is also present in the capillaries throughout our bodies. And this is an interesting experiment undertaken by our colleague Landon King at Johns Hopkins in collaboration with other scientists at Hopkins, using a technique developed by a young scientist from Algeria who came to Johns Hopkins. His name is Elias Zerhouni. You may recognize that name. Zerhouni became the director of the National Institutes of Health. These images represent high-resolution CT scans of the lung.
And if you look closely, there's an open structure with an L over it, that's a bronchiole, a breathing tubule, and adjacent to it is a veniole. And the panel to the left shows baseline, and to the right, the same structures after infusion of physiological saline. And what happens is the fluid is released from the veniole surrounding the bronchiole, and this is something that is very different when we look at normal individuals compared to the aquaporin 1 null individuals. The null individuals cannot release fluid from their venules. They can't move water into and out of air spaces. And of course, this is going to be of great importance at the time of birth. So we were joined by other scientists, both collaborators and competitors, to identify aquaporins. Our interest was in human aquaporin repertoire, but scientists around the world established that aquaporins are present in every life form, every microorganism, every plant. Every form of life has an aquaporin. And our colleagues took great interest in the kidney and pursued the vasopressin regulated water channel in the distal nephron. And this explains the final concentration of urine. And I won't go through this in any detail because of the nature of the audience today. In fact, the vasopressin, the neurohormone released when we sense thirst, allows the protein to move through the cell surface and concentrate the urine maximally. Another member of the family, studied by Masato Yasui, a postdoctoral fellow from Japan, came to Johns Hopkins. He's now back in Japan as the chairman of pharmacology at Keio University. And mutations in the lens homologue, aquaporin 0, lead to cataracts in small children. Another member of the family, aquaporin 4, present in a number of tissues, including brain, which we studied in collaboration with Ole Petter Ottersen and his colleagues in Norway. And the aquaporin 4 is present in the pericapillary astroglial end feed in the brain. I don't know if it projects well, but that's precisely the blood-brain barrier, where fluid moving from blood space into brain, or back from brain into blood space, is regulated by the presence of aquaporin 4. And in a very interesting study undertaken by a young scientist in Ole Petter's group, Mahmoud Amiri, he established that in fact mutations in the aquaporin 4 gene protect against brain damage after brain injury. Mahmoud started his career very interestingly as a refugee in Pakistan. His family was Iranian. They had fled persecution. He was adopted by the Norwegian Social Services, became an outstanding medical student. Now he's a leading European neuroscientist. And this observation indicates that if we could develop inhibitors to aquaporin 4, we would have a new tool to prevent or treat brain edema, which is a tragic problem following head injury, stroke, or brain tumor. Here is the image of an individual with a brain tumor. If you look on the upper left, you see the MRI imaging has a large opaque structure. This is a meningioma causing symptoms. If you look at the right, the same images by MRI with the water-weighted image, you see surrounding the tumor is what we call brain edema. And when the brain tumor was removed, the edema persisted. It's a very difficult problem. So we're heartened by the discovery of aquaporin 4 in brain and hopeful that we'll be able to develop new inhibitors that will allow us to prevent and treat brain edema. Yet another member of the family, aquaporin 5, present in secretory glands. Secretory glands release tears, sweat, and saliva. And these protect us from the damages of thermal expression. In the heat of the day, we protect ourselves by sweating. And by sweating, we cool ourselves. And in this study, we have two mice. On the left, the paw of normal mouse, and on the right, the paw of an aquaporin 5 null mouse, a genetic knockout. We find that the null mouse has sweat glands which don't function. And that mouse is vulnerable to heat stroke, whereas the wild-type mouse can sweat and protect itself. In addition to the water channel proteins, the aquaporins, there are similar proteins referred to as aquaglyceroporins. These are permeated by water plus glycerol, 3-carbon polyol. In the presence of the aquaglyceroporins in the basal levels of skin have profound significance. Now, I was visited a few years ago by the executives of the Christian Dior Company. I don't normally get a lot of visitors from the Christian Dior Company. I was a little suspicious of their motivation for seeking me out. And they wanted me to present a lecture in Paris to coincide with the release of a beauty product called Hydration Skin Cream. And I have to point out, I have no financial ties to Christian Dior. They offered some, but there were a lot of strings attached. And as scientists, our object is actually the pursuit of knowledge, not the pursuit of strings, which might bring some temporary financial windfall. This is the back cover of the Marie Claire Beauty magazine. And I imagine you can't read it, but some of the statements are very bold, talk about spectacular hydration. And at the very bottom it mentions the Nobel Prize in chemistry. I showed this to my mother, who was at that time about 80 years old. My mother was never able to go to the university. She was a farm girl. When she saw this, she smiled and said, "Peter, I think you're finally doing something useful." Well, our mothers know us better than we know ourselves. I hope some of the work is useful, and we are now heartened by some of the new discoveries. For example, the discovery of the aquaporin 7, the aquaglyceroporin, in fat that allows us to release glycerol when we're fasted or starved. We have a new disease in the United States and Western Europe. It's obesity. This used to be extremely uncommon in children, and now it's dreadfully common. We're genetically programmed to efficiently store extra calories as fat, triglycerides. And the aquaglyceroporin 7 protein allows glycerol release from fat when we're fasted or starved, where it's taken up by the liver. And the micrograph on the far right shows aquaglyceroporin 9. And glycerol enters fat, which is turned into glucose. This is work of Jane Carter. Now, in some parts of the world, particularly in Bangladesh, groundwater is toxic because the groundwater is contaminated with high levels of arsenic. Drinking pure water, of course, is essential. And the aquaglyceroporins are permeated by arsenic, and we believe evolutionarily this is a mechanism that prevents us from arsenic toxicity by allowing us to excrete arsenic as we might take it into groundwater, excrete it into the bile. This is a very easy one to understand. Aquaporins are present in plants. And on the far right is an Arabidopsis, a small mustard plant. And notice the foliage. It's lush, green, but it only requires a thin arborization of rootlets. On the left is an Arabidopsis plant which has been genetically engineered so that the rootlets have only 20% of the normal amount of water channel protein. But it maintains stem turgor and a nice foliage because the plant compensates. Each rootlet has fewer aquaporins, so it sends out more rootlets. This tells us something we already knew. Plants compete for water. And while here in Bandung, water supply is plentiful, in many parts of the world, water supply is not plentiful. And the development of crops that are drought resistant can be of great value. Bacteria also contain aquaporins. And some of these bacterial homologs are now being reconstituted into synthetic membranes as artificial water purifiers. The most efficient purification system known to man, the aquaporin. Now, in October of 2003, early in the morning, the phone rang. A very pleasant Swedish voice on the other end of the phone. I'll never forget it. This is an important telephone call from Stockholm for Professor Peter Agre. Are you Professor Agre? I thought I know who this was. So I said, I sure am, and they identified themselves as the Nobel Chemistry Committee. They explained I would share the Nobel Chemistry Prize with Roderick McKinnon, who is also a medical doctor. Rod works at Rockefeller University on ion channels. And they explained what the prize was about and said, in 10 minutes, we'll have a press conference. You should get ready for your day. 10 minutes? That's not a lot of time to prepare for your day at 5:30 in the morning. So I sprinted to the shower, got ready for my day, and my dear wife, Mary, used that moment to call my mother back in Minnesota. My father, who was a chemistry professor, had died 8 years before. My mother, living alone, awakened early in the morning to learn that her son had received the Nobel Prize, said to Mary, tell Peter that's very nice, but don't let this go to his head. Our mothers have good advice. There are more important things than doing science, and that's doing something useful. And by the time I got to the laboratory that morning, the young people were celebrating. The phone voicemail was jammed with requests for interviews from the New York Times, the television media. And there was a very familiar voice, one of our friends from Norway. I'll never forget the voice. Peter, we've just heard the news. It's unbelievable. And then there's applause. And the voice goes back, oh no, we believe it, we believe it. It's wonderful. And here we are celebrating on the stage after the receipt of the prize, Mary with me, our 4 children, and holding the medal. But let me point out the prize itself goes to an individual or team or community, but it's for a discovery that really includes many other people, members of the laboratory, collaborating laboratories, of competing laboratories. And I believe the real value of the Nobel is to raise the awareness of the public to the value of science, because over the years the award of the Nobel went for the discovery of insulin, the discovery of penicillin, and many dozens of other discoveries, and they're continuing to be made. They're being made around the world. They're being made here at ITB. I'll talk just in a moment about the aquaporins and malaria. Red cells permeate the glycerol, which is important in the manifestations of malaria because it allows the intracellular parasite to grow and divide. This is work with Dominique Cominier, French national working in our lab. It allows a single parasite, if you look in the center of the single parasite, to grow and divide into 32 daughter cells. So we have a rapid amplification of the parasites, producing horrific fevers. And by knocking out the aquaglyceroporins in the parasite, we can diminish the infection. Probably not enough to be a good drug target, but that's research. You never know until you do the experiments, the outcome. But we're studying the aquaporins in mosquitoes. I know you have mosquitoes here when you can do this, yeah. The mosquitoes manage water very carefully through their own aquaporin channels. And we're studying them. We hope this may be of some practical value, we don't know. I'll skip through the specifics here. But a surprise is that if we reduce one of the specific aquaporins in mosquitoes, they're no longer infected as efficiently by malaria. Maybe this could be a very interesting development which prevents the mosquitoes from passing malaria to people. So at the end of our career, and I'm clearly at the end of my career, and I look back, I think of the studies in the laboratory, the discoveries, and I'm very proud of them. But you know, more important than the studies are the people who did them. The young people who came from around the world to our laboratory and returned to their home countries, many of them. The young scientists are meeting all around the world, here in Bandung and elsewhere, because that's the important part of science. And I'll end with sharing a little wisdom. Those who understand the Chinese language will recognize that crisis is not a single character, but 2 characters. Wei, time of danger, Ji, the time of opportunity. And the dangers of global climate change, of drug-resistant tuberculosis, of other pestilences, these are dangers for which science ongoing here at ITB and other institutions, provide an opportunity to make the world a better place. And with that, let me thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm honored to have been about to receive today an honorary doctorate from your prestigious institution. And let me challenge the young people, go for it in science. Thank you.
Selanjutnya, sesi tanya jawab akan dipandu oleh Eni Ratnaningsi, PhD.
Question and answer session moderated by Eni Ratnaningsi, PhD.
Well, magnificent aquaporin water channel. Okay, now, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for us to have a dialogue with Professor Peter Agre. Would there be questions, comments, or things to be discussed from the audiences? It could be delivered in Indonesian or in English, but it's better in English. Okay, I will divide this dialogue into sessions, and in each sessions we will collect 3 questions or comments. Okay? 1 from the middle, 2nd from the right side of me, and 3rd probably from the left side. Okay, would you please kindly mention your name and your institution?
Good morning, Dr. Peter Agre. I'm Grace Aprilia from biology, major in Bandung Institute of Technology. I've got 2 questions to ask. First, how did you feel when you managed to find discover something so remarkable as aquaporins? I mean, you managed to solve the riddle of aquaporins. Did it change you in some ways? And then the second question, how did you manage to make an interdisciplinary approach in your research? I mean, as a soon-to-be scientist, we have to have that kind of way of thinking in our research later at the end of our study. And how did you manage that way of thinking? How did you manage to that way of thinking? I mean, you managed to lead the team of geneticists and biochemists and everything, and finally you find something so remarkable as aquaporins, and your advices for us, the soon-to-be scientists, especially biologists. Thank you very much.
Thank you for those wonderful questions. The first question is, how did we feel after we discovered the aquaporins? Well, we were very happy, needless to say. But in truth, we knew this was a significant discovery. We had no idea how much interest there would be, because we were a small laboratory. Johns Hopkins is a famous institution, but it has many laboratories, and many of them are very small laboratories. So we were not the so-called big guys in the field. And make an observation, it's nice, it's pleasant. It doesn't have to be a world-shaking significance to be exciting and positive. But the importance really grew with the recognition by others and requests for lectures all around the world. And so it was a little bit staggering, the interest. We tried to remain focused and did so. We could only continue in this field by competing with big laboratories, and we did so by collaborating with other laboratories. And therein lies a great lesson in science. You don't have to be the biggest or best funded to do something important, but you might have to team up with other experts whose techniques complement your own. So we set about pursuing specific projects and teamed up with others. Some were introduced to us by friends or made their own introductions. And I have to say, one advantage I felt I had is that my scientific training was broad, not completely narrow in one subject. And the second advantage is I have 3 brothers and 2 sisters, which in the US is a rather large family. And when you're one of 6 kids, you learn how to get along with others. Particularly being of medium height in a Norwegian family, my brothers and sisters are all much bigger than I am. And I think to maintain friendly relations and interact and engage other laboratories where you share and you share credit is a very joyful experience. And scientists truly, in our laboratory, in collaborating laboratories, and in competing laboratories. I showed some of the structural work on the aquaporin protein. One major advance was achieved by a scientist named Bing Yap from Lawrence Berkeley Laboratories. Bing Yap is an Indonesian scientist now working in the United States. So I think the composite of our friends, our competitors, led to, I think, a rapid advancement that we could never have done alone. I hope I answered your question. Thank you.
Bersama kita bisa. Okay, right. The next, yeah. From the next slide, yeah. Questions or comments? Questions.
Good morning, Mr. Peter Agre. My name is Nobel Laurate. I'm the first year student of Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Science here. I have several questions. The first thing is, in your perspective as scientists, how cells evolutionarily develop aquaporin, and if there's life elsewhere outside the Earth, do you think that it will have aquaporin too? My second question is, if aquaporin got mutated, how it can be fixed by the cell itself, or maybe through medicine? And lastly, who's your favorite scientist? Thank you.
Try to quickly jot these down. First question, how do cells by evolution past the aquaporins. And I think the implication is anything shared amongst all life forms must have existed in a very early life form. The first primitive cell, first protobacteria that lived probably in the sea, must have expressed something very similar to the aquaporins, but maybe it was just half of the molecule. Because I tried to indicate the molecule has an internal repeat with 3 bifurcating domains, and they invert. So there must have been a hemiaquaporin, but this is lost in the genetic record. There's no surviving species that we know of that has a hemiaquaporin that could give us more clues. So sometimes science leads to specific information, but we can't always get back to the absolute beginning, the dawn of creation. But I think the conference of ability to rapidly respond to osmotic shifts must have had an advantage that allowed this to be passed along. And so the same molecule expressed in our brains is a very similar molecule is present in the roots of plants. Our brains and plants are very different, but the ability to move water selectively is something that's shared. Now I believe the second question is, how could this be used to do something useful? It makes me think my mother must have called you, because that's what she would want you to ask. Something useful, because the citizens in all countries pay taxes, and the taxes provide grants to wonderful universities like ITB. And in the end, it's not simply academic information, but the use of that information to improve the lives is what we're really after. And so I think the development of possible water purification systems using aquaporins and synthetic membranes may be useful. I think the obvious development of inhibitors of brain water channels, and I talked about that a little bit in the beginning, in the middle of the talk. The idea of brain edema, the swelling of a brain that occurs after an injury or a stroke or a tumor. It's oftentimes the brain swelling that determines the survival or death of the patient. If we could develop and utilize inhibitors of aquaporin 4, we may have a way of preventing considerable brain damage after these events, which are tragically very common. And the last question is, who is my favorite scientist? Well, I have to say, sort of our family hero was a man named Linus Pauling. And Linus Pauling was a friend of my father's. He stayed at our house when we were children. He is the only scientist to have 2 unshared Nobel Prizes. He made many discoveries, including the structures of proteins, the alpha helix, the beta sheet. He also discovered sickle hemoglobin, and he won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1954. He also was an advocate of using science for the well-being of mankind, and an early scientist recognized the strong dangers of development of thermonuclear weapons. Back when I was a child in the 1950s, the United States, the Soviets, and the Chinese were detonating huge hydrogen bombs, terrifically powerful, releasing fallout into the atmosphere, a huge toxin. And the governments were competing because they wanted world dominance, but the public of all countries were suffering. And it was really Linus Pauling that led the world protest against thermonuclear war development, and for which he was the recipient of the Nobel Prize in 1963. And Uwe Moravec, the chair of the International Peace Foundation, informs me that Linus Pauling was one of their first dialogues participants. So we share scientific heroes, and I think that's not a bad thing, particularly for young scientists to have someone that motivates them. I hope I answered your questions.
Okay, now the third questions from the left side. Yes, please.
Okay. Good morning, Professor Agre. My name is Rizal Ananda Sugianto from Biology major in Bandung Institute of Technology, and I have 2 questions for you. So the first, I would like to know if there are any differences of aquaporin of humans compared to those of animals, mainly amphibians and reptiles. And the second question is related to amphibians. Does any sort of aquaporins is involved in the impressive regeneration mechanism of axolotl? And as we know, the species lives in water and can pretty much regenerate from any kind of wounds. So perhaps that is all from me. Thank you.
Thank you for a very insightful question. The first question is, are there similarities between aquaporins from animals, plants, and humans? And the answer is there are very strong similarities, but they're not identical. All of them are about 28 kilodaltons in size, and they have conserved domains in the pore lining regions. I skipped through that rather rapidly in the talk because I think it's not going to be of interest to everybody, but it might be of interest to you. These pore lining regions that surround the water pore are most highly conserved, almost exactly conserved, with the 3 amino acid repeat, asparagine, proline, alanine, and the outer membrane and the inner membrane coming together forming the pore. So they're clearly recognizable similarities. And you can't necessarily look at a sequence and say this is human, this is rat, this is plant. You have to know more. These are very similar. Now the second question was about the regeneration in tissues, and you mentioned the axolotls and amphibian, which if you cut off a limb, it'll grow it back. And that's very interesting. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could develop similar techniques for humans who have injuries? Some crippling injury could be restored by growing a new limb. The answer is, I'm sure the aquaporins are involved, but I don't know how. So isn't that cruel? I think I know the answer, but I don't know the question. How can we use this? And I think more research is clearly going to be needed. And I suspect that your laboratory may have the best ideas yet. So I'll turn it on you. Please go for it and let me know what you find. You may be the first scientist from ITB to win a Nobel Prize. Wouldn't that be nice? I hope so. Thank you.
Okay, now the next sessions. I want to hear questions or comments or things to be discussed from the senior scientists. Yep. One in the middle. Okay. No, the other two from the right hand side. No? From the left hand side. Okay. Please come forward. Ibu Marcelina from Biology Department.
My name is Marcelina from School of Life Sciences and Technology. I have some basics questions about the polymorphism of the aquaporin. So you mentioned before about the polymorphism. Is there any data from the kind of the polymorphism which can affect to the several phenotype of the persons of human beings? And then the second question about the you mentioned that there are also some aquaporin or aquacycloporins or aquaporin which can also transport not only the water but also glycerol, and then it also transport the heavy metal. So how is the mechanism so that they can distinguish between the glycerol and water, or the heavy metals and the water? And is there any mechanism how they bind to the amino acid on the part of the inner side of the channels? And then how can they, how can the aquaporin can be regulated actually? Is it only just the regulation is through the osmosis like that, or there are some kind of regulation through the membrane proteins or the signal pathway like that? Thank you.
Thank you for these questions. The first regards polymorphisms, and I mentioned briefly the aquaporin 1 having a polymorphism, an amino acid substitution in the outer surface. The AQP1 molecule has an alanine in most of us at the 45th residue, but it's a valine in some people. And the difference between the amino acid alanine and valine is a single carbon, very subtle difference. But it turns out this is of significance because the colton blood group antigen, which is not too important clinically because most of us are colton AA. But if an individual should be transfused with colton B blood and they have colton AA normal blood, they can develop antibodies to it. And it makes me wonder if there are not other polymorphisms which might be responsible for problems. And the one that comes to mind is the aquaporin 5, which is in secretory glands. And it might be that there are some autoantibodies that are involved in problems such as Sjogren's, a dry eye, dry mouth syndrome. We don't know. In terms of the cell activity, this is a very interesting phenomenon. I talked about the permeation by water, and then I briefly went through the glycerol transport, so water, H2O, 18 Daltons in mass. Glycerol, 3 carbons, 3 oxygens, and I guess that's 8 hydrogens, a little bit larger. The pore lining residue in the aquaglyceroporins is not exactly the same as in the aquaporins. Basically, and I'll show you with my hands how this must work. The water channel has a narrow pore. The glycerol channel has a little difference in the back side of this channel, allowing phenylalanine to open up. The phenylalanine in the pore linings ring, which is unrestricted because of the replacement of a histidine in water channels by glycine in glycerol channels, allows free movement of the phenylalanine to open basically like a trap door, increasing the diameter of the pore. And it's not my work, it's the work of the biosimulators, but it indicates that there's a trapdoor mechanism that allows this 3-carbon polyol to pass through. Your third question then was regulation. And we don't really understand how these things are regulated. And of course, water, H2O, is electrically silent. The great work of Bert Sackman and Erwin Mayer studying ion channel conductance, the measurement of ions across sodium channels, potassium channels. And this is an electrical event. So if there's flickering of a channel, open shut, very quickly, they'll see a flicker in electrical tracing. The water is silent, so we can't measure it. But there is one member of the aquaporin family that is electrically active, and it appears to be flickering. So there must be an open shut probability. The most important and currently well understood form of regulation, I mentioned the aquaporin 2 in collecting duct of kidney, which is vasopressin regulated. So vasopressin is the hormone released from our pituitary glands when we're thirsty. Go out and play tennis on a hot day. Your brain senses dehydration and releases vasopressin. But vasopressin then works through the kidney by regulating aquaporin 2, moving from an intracellular site to the surface. When it moves to the surface, then the surface is permeated by water, and we can freely and efficiently conserve water maximally. So it's well recognized. Someone who's fluid overloaded drinks a liter of iced tea, for example, who will release dilute urine. The same person playing tennis on a hot day who's dehydrated will produce concentrated urine. So the regulation of aquaporin 2 explains that. And thank you for those questions. And there must be other forms of regulation which we don't really know much about. The ability to synthesize and degrade. Chronically thirsted people are more efficient in concentrating their urine in people who are not chronically thirsty. And this has to do with the expression of more aquaporin 2 or less aquaporin 2.
Okay, now the next questions from the yeah. Kindly mention your name and your institution.
Good afternoon, Mr. My name is Urga. I graduated from Material Science from University of Indonesia. I heard about the aquaporin just last year in my research to understand more about the water structure. And we know water is the most abundant material in our planet, but yet it still have characteristic that we just recovered just yet. One small example is about the water tendency to make a cluster. I heard about the icosahedral structure of the water molecule, that they tend to become like a big lump of molecule, consists of 120 molecules, and also the smaller one like hexagonal shape, and also the 20 molecule, the dodecahedral shape. What I want to ask, is it also affect the efficiency of the absorption of water to the cell? Because in your illustration, in your slide, you show that the aquaporin channel is transfer one molecule for a time. Is it can accept a bigger molecule? Is it possible? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question. So there's some information in the lay press and television about water having structure. And it's my understanding that really water is a very interesting and perhaps unique molecule because it doesn't have static structure unless it's frozen. Ice is structured water. But water, H2O, and this was the topic of my father's chemistry lectures to his students. The very first lecture was the chemistry of water. H2O, 18 Daltons in mass. You would predict water to be a gas. And of course, in the atmosphere, water is a gas. Free water molecules bumping into each other. But in fluid, H2O really doesn't exist because of the hydrogen bonding of one hydrogen to an adjacent oxygen. It's not only one oxygen with two hydrogens, it's one oxygen with many hydrogens shared amongst many. So I think chemists often refer to water as, in bulk solution, as H2O to the nth power. So it may be 20 molecules, it may be 120 molecules. It's rapidly shifting. And so the permeation of the water channel, as you mentioned, is water in single file. And that's why it's so unique. Water will move in single file and then can form a bulk solution on the other side of the membrane. Water can pass, but protons in the form of the hydronium ion cannot pass. So we can concentrate our urine while we're excreting acid. This is very important for us. It's important for plants. Plants will move water into the tonoblast, but not protons. And so it occurs, and it's physically pretty clear how this works. It's almost spiritual. It works so efficiently. And I think the chemistry of water is what makes life on this planet possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the last sessions. There's still another questions or comments from the audiences. Budesi, please come forward. Yeah, probably just last questions. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Annie. My name is Desi Natalia from Biochemistry of ITB. I have two questions. The first one is, what is the biggest dream in your life? And do you think you already accomplished that dream yet? And my second one, could you give us a clue for an inhibitor for blocking the aquaglycoporin of the malaria plasmodium? Because here at ITB we have very strong natural product research group and also many researchers working on the malaria. So hopefully that if you can give us a clue, so many of the young scientists here could get that inhibitor. Thank you very much.
So I think you asked what was my biggest fame, and I don't think about fame very much, frankly. It sometimes is astonishing. Driving into Bandung yesterday, I saw a poster with an old man. It was me. It's a little bit out of body. But I think in terms of internal feeling of well-being, the Nobel was wonderful. But it certainly was not the most important reward I felt in my life. And I think if you ask the other laureates who have visited as part of the International Peace Foundation, they probably would say the same thing. As humans, we have a lot of things that we share. And having a wonderful family with children, and now 2 grandchildren. You know, these little granddaughters of mine who are 1 and 3 years old, they think I'm a nice guy. They don't know anything about the Nobel Prize. I think that tells us about the relative importance of family and prizes. In terms of the inhibitors, I didn't quite catch the question. It's now something that biotech companies are looking for, inhibitors of specific aquaporins. And it's clear that we need to develop new medicines for malaria. I hope I didn't leave the impression that the aquaporins are going to be the best drug target, because they're probably not sufficiently important to the life of the plasmodium. But there'll be plenty of other drug targets that could be important for malaria. And the thing with discovery of medicines is so interesting. The Nobel Prize was awarded to 2 UU from China 2 years ago for the discovery of the artemisinins. Artemisinins, 2 UU did not discover artemisinins, but she rediscovered that an ancient Chinese medicine used 1,000 years ago to treat fevers in South China had the ability to inhibit and kill malaria parasites. And this was the product of a scientific undertaking actually that occurred during the Vietnam War, when the North Vietnamese military came to China to talk to Prime Minister Mao Zedong and Zhou Enlai about the importance of malaria in the war effort. Of course, war is a bad thing, but sometimes good things result from that. And they rediscovered the artemisinins. So I think both rediscovering known molecules, new applications of known medicines, and discoveries of new medicines are all going to be important. And they must be administered properly and efficiently. And I think if all of these things happen, malaria will be knocked out. I'm not sure it'll happen within my lifetime, but for you young scientists here, it could happen in your lifetime, and you could play a very important role in that. Thank you.
There's still a bit of time left, so if there is still questions or comments from the audiences. Okay, yeah. Please come forward.
Thank you for the opportunity. Good morning, Professor Agre. My name is Bambang Purwanto. I am a medical physiologist from Airlangga University. I would like to ask you 2 questions. The first one is, I'm wondering, how could you eager to analyze the 28 kilodalton contaminant, which later called with the aquaporins. Commonly, we, as the scientists, when we found contaminant, we have a stressful, but you have a different side of view that you eager to look forward what is the 28 kilodalton is. And the second one is there any aquaporins which voltage treated? Thank you.
Could you repeat the second question, please? I didn't catch that. The second question.
Okay. Is there any aquaporins which voltage gated channels? Some of your aquaporins which you name aquaporin 1 and something, which is there any aquaporin which voltage gated? It's open and closed by electrical stimulation or physical stimulation?
Sure, thank you. Good question. So the first question, what caused us to analyze the 28 kilodalton protein? And you're absolutely right. There's a lot of priority, and scientists remain focused. You get a grant. The grant is not some kind of free pass to do anything you want. You must work on the project. But sometimes you find something which is more important than what you're looking for. And that happened to us, but we didn't really know it. So let me tell you a true story. My wife will confirm this. We discovered the molecular basis of RH, which is of clinical importance. RHD negative mothers pregnant with RHD positive children could become sensitized. And those antibodies could kill subsequent fetuses during pregnancy. And a 28 kilodalton polypeptide contaminated our preparations. And this was a bitter disappointment. You'd think if you had an antibody to a new protein, that'd be exciting, but it was not what we were looking for, and we were stuck. We didn't know what the 28K protein did. And I talked to many physiologists who were very knowledgeable, very generous at the time. None of them recognized what a channel in red cell membranes could possibly be, and most of them assured me that they didn't have channels. So there's something that we refer to in the United States as work-life balance. 40 years ago when I was a student, no one mentioned it. You worked as hard as you could and you hoped your family did all right. But now we understand having children, particularly when you have a two-career family, a husband and a wife, each with careers, you must have time set aside for the children. So my wife, Mary, decided it would be wonderful for our children to have the experience that she always wanted as a child but couldn't have, and that's to go camping in the national parks. In the United States, we have wonderful national parks. They're open to the public, not just the public of the U.S., but the public of all over the world. So we took the children camping in Grand Canyon, Yosemite, Glacier Park, Smoky Mountain National Park, and they loved it. And after a few years, Mary said, let's ask the children next year which national park they want to go camping in. So we said to the kids, which national park would you like to go to? And they all yelled, Disney World. Disney World is a commercial park. It's not a national park. But kids love Mickey Mouse. So we compromised. We went to the Everglades. And then on our way back to Baltimore, which is a very long drive, from Orlando, Florida, to Baltimore, about 1,500 kilometers, we stopped in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. So we visited Disney World. The kids had a good time. We stopped in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, spent the night with friends. And Mary had friends, children had playmates. And I had colleagues at Duke University and the University of North Carolina. I talked to several of them about the nature of this protein. Even as John Parker, my former professor of hematology, recognized the importance of this thing. He said this might be the long-sought water channel. Because physiologists have been looking for the explanation for rapid osmosis for more than 100 years. It was John's suggestion that caused it. And when John died a couple of years after that suggestion, I've never forgotten his importance in providing generously an idea to a young scientist who led to a Nobel Prize. So if you're still with us, I'd thank him in person, but he's gone, I can't, but I think acknowledging the generosity of older colleagues to share the knowledge. The second question was still a little unclear to me about the notion that aquaporins might be gated like ion channels. What is the mechanism? To my knowledge, AQP6 is the only aquaporin which has an ion conductance. And it appears to be rapidly flickering, and the rate of flickering increases at lower pH. So there must be some structural modification that occurs which is facilitated at lower pH, causing the channel to be open more often than not. And if that's true, it should probably apply to all the other aquaporins. But I'm afraid I disappoint you because I don't have a better biophysical understanding of it. But thank you for sharing your question. Yeah, and I think when our kids ask us to take them to Disney World, sometimes that's a pretty good idea.
Time flies so fast, and I think we have to end this magnificent sessions. I thank you very much for all participants from the audiences. Now, to end this wonderful Nobel lecture and dialogue, as a big appreciation, I invite all of the audiences to stand up and give a big applause for the Nobel Laureate,
Penganugerahan gelar doktor kehormatan Rektor ITB pada Profesor Dr. Peter Agre.
Awarding session of honorary doctor by Rector of ITB.
Kami mohon Rektor ITB didampingi oleh Ketua Majelis Wali Amanat dan Ketua Senat Akademik untuk tampil ke depan.
May I invite the Chairman of the Board of Trustees and the Chairman of Academic Senate to accompany the Rector. And also Professor Dr. Peter Agre, please come to the stage. Next, the Rector of Institut Teknologi Bandung will present the certificate and degree of appointment as adjunct professor in the Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences to Professor Dr. Peter Agre. Please continue with photo session. First, Professor Agre. Next, the Rector of Institut Teknologi Bandung will present the certificate and degree of appointment as adjunct professor in the Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences to Professor Dr. Peter Agre. Please continue with the photo session. First, Professor Agre, Rector, Chairman of Board of Trustees and Chairman of Academic Senate. And next, we invite Mr. Wei Morawetz, Promoters and Dean of Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences. And next we invite promoters, Mr. Wei Morawetz and Dean of Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences.
Sambutan Rektor Institut Teknologi Bandung, Profesor Dr. Insinyur Kadarsa Suryadi, DEA.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rector of Institut Teknologi Bandung, Profesor Dr. Insinyur Kadarsa Suryadi, DEA.
Excellency Nobel Laureate Professor Peter Agre and Mrs. Agre, Honorable President of ITB Board of Trustee, Ibu Betty Alisah Bana, Honorable Secretary of Academic Senate ITB, Professor Iwan Sudrajat, Honorable Chairman of Professor Council, Honorable Representative of Governor of West Java, Kepala Dinas Pendidikan Bapak Hardadi, Honorable Rector Advisors, Honorable Rectors, Honorable Chairman of International Peace Foundation, W. Morawetz, and Director of Events Coordination for Asia, Daniel Bednari. Honorable Rectors, Vice Rectors, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. On behalf of Institut Teknologi Bandung, it is a great honor to welcome you all to the 6th ASEAN Bridge Event Series. A few months ago, we have already listened to an extraordinary keynote speech delivered by Excellency Nobel Laureate Professor Peter Agre, entitled Aquaporine Water Channel. Aquaporine are suspected in numerous disorders involving fluid transport, such as brain edema, cirrhosis, congestive heart failure, glaucoma, and preeclampsia. Understanding the mechanistic and structural of aquaporine will lead to the development of new therapeutics through rational drug design. This is the great contribution of Professor Peter Agre to the scientific world that later on led many other researchers to work and understand more about the existence of aquaporine and its role in medical application. I also would like to express my gratitude to Professor Peter Agre for accepting the honorary doctorate from ITB. And at the same time, of course, I also congratulate him for such honorary degree, as only very limited prominent person granted the same thing. Among others was Dr. Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono, the former Indonesian president. And I would like to thank to all promoters Professor Akmaluka, Professor Tati Subahar, and Professor Jeli Nur Rahman. And I would like to invite all of them to rise, please. And also I would like to thank to some professors involving in the honorary doctorate degree preparation. I would like to invite to raise up please Professor Tutus Gusdina, Professor Buhari. Professor Buhari, please rise. And also Dr. Desi Natali. In this opportunity, I would like also to thank Professor Peter Agre for his acceptance upon our request to him to become ITB adjunct professor. Institut Teknologi Bandung is the oldest university focusing on science and technology in Indonesia. It was established in 1920 and will be celebrating its 100 years anniversary within 3 years from now. It is indeed old for human, but it is relatively young for a university. However, ITB is eager to play a significant role and jointly shape the future of higher education in the world together with other world-class universities. Collaboration with world-leading education and research institutions, which in turn help us to solve some of Indonesia's national challenges, is one of the ways to achieve such goal. In the field of microbiology, biochemistry, pharmacy, for example, our researchers across schools and faculties have pursued the answers to some of persistent and ever-evolving problems of tropical diseases such as malaria. We have a high hope that in the future our researchers in biochemistry and medical technology can collaborate with Johns Hopkins University and especially with Johns Hopkins Malaria Research Institute that Professor Peter Agre chaired. We hope that our research team could learn from such prominent institutions not only methodologies but most of all the spirit that has made Professor Peter Agre to uncover the mysterious molecular mechanism of how water molecules are transported across biological barriers such as membranes. In the years 2020-2030, Indonesia will go through the period of demographic dividend. The period in which 70% of Indonesia's population is in their productive age. ITB has an obligation to take the lead in preparing creative, innovative, and skilled future leaders. This young generation will lead Indonesia's workforce in the great demographic dividend to reap the full benefit of the dividend. For such purpose, we have to strive and persist in pursuing other research. We encourage faculties as well as alumni to learn from well-established institutes, rich in scientific, technology, and art discoveries. We are committed to make advancement in science, technology, and art, and to bring them into real contribution for the good of the country and for the good of humanity in general. Contribution to science and humanity is our main goal as a scholar. We strive to prepare faculty members ready to persevere in order to achieve our goal of contribution that is part of our vision and mission. Many of our faculty members are trained in various institutions around the world, such as German Cancer Research Center, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, University of Tokyo, Tokyo Institute of Technology, Kyoto University, and many more. One of our young faculties, Dr. Robi Roswanda from Chemistry Department, was trained under Professor Ben Feringa, Nobel Laureate in Chemistry 2016 in the field of organic synthesis and nanomaterial. The diversity of experience coming from various research culture is a hope for us to shape the character of ITB in the future. Our faculty positions are now more open to professional individuals, especially to scientists from ASEAN countries and non-aligned countries. Through education and research, we can change and shape our better world. Finally, I would like to thank all of you again, especially Excellency Nobel Laureate Professor Peter Agre for his great lecture today, and also thank to International Peace Foundation, Owe and Daniel for all of the support, and all people here who have made this event meaningful. I would like to thank to the Dean of Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences, Professor Edi Baskoro, please rise. And also to Dr. Fifi, the head of the committee of this seminar, please rise. And now I would like to ask Professor Agre for his permission and support, if conditions make possible, for ITB researchers or Indonesian researchers to do research and collaboration with Johns Hopkins University Malaria Research Institute to learn from the rich experiences. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Persembahan lagu oleh keluarga Paduan Angklung ITB untuk Profesor Dr. Peter Agre.
Special song performance by Paduan Angklung ITB for Professor Dr. Peter Agre.
kepada Nabi Fauzi.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hadirin yang kami hormati, marilah kita bersama menundukkan hati kita untuk memanjatkan doa kepada Allah Subhanahu wa taala, penguasa seluruh alam semesta. Perkenankan kami berdoa menurut ajaran Islam, dan bagi yang beragama atau kepercayaan lain, persilahkan untuk menyesuaikan. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let us bow our hearts to say a prayer to Allah Subhanahu wa taala, Almighty, ruler of the universe. Allow me please to pray according to the teachings of Islam, and for other faiths, please to confirm. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Ghaffar, Ya Razzaq, Ya Fattah, Ya Alim, Malikul Mulk, Dzul Jalali wal Ikram. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin, wassalatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Segala puji bagimu ya Allah yang menggenggam seluruh alam. Kami panjatkan syukur kehadiratmu sehingga pada pagi hari ini kami diperkenankan menyelenggarakan salah satu acara penting, yaitu penganugerahan gelar Dr. Honoris Causa untuk Profesor Peter Agre di kampus tercinta Institut Teknologi Bandung. Ya Allah, jadikanlah tradisi ilmiah ini pendorong dan pemicu bagi kami dan anak didik kami untuk lebih semangat dalam menuntut ilmu dan melakukan penelitian dalam mengungkap rahasia alam sebagai bukti akan kebesaran dan kemahakuasaan-Mu. Kami mohon kepadamu ya Allah, berilah kami ilmu bermanfaat dan barokah yang akan menjadi bekal kami dunia dan akhirat. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, jadikanlah kami dan anak didik kami manusia yang berguna bagi sesama dan lingkungannya, dan mudahkanlah langkah kami menuju ridho-Mu. Jadikanlah ya Allah upaya dan jerih payah kami dalam menuntut ilmu dan melakukan penelitian serta pengabdian kepada masyarakat sebagai amal saleh yang membawa kami kepada kebahagiaan dunia dan akhirat. Praise be to Allah who grasping the universe. We thank Thee, O Lord, so that today we are allowed to organize an important event that is conferring an honorary doctorate to Professor Peter Agre in Institut Teknologi Bandung. O Lord, make the scientific tradition as a booster and trigger for us and our students for more passion in their studies and conduct research in uncovering the secrets of nature as evidence of the Thy Almighty. We beseech to Thee, O Lord, please give us useful knowledge and blessing that will be benefit here in this world and the hereafter. Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, please make us and our students benefit to the human beings, the environment and peace, and make easy step towards Thy blessing. O Lord, please make our efforts and hard work in studying and conducting research and community services as good deeds that take us to the happiness and peace in the world and in the hereafter. Allahumma hdina siratal mustaqim, siratal ladzina an'amta alaihim, ghairil maghdubi alaihim waladdallin. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adzabannar. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin nabiyil ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa baraka wasallam. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Amin amin ya Allah ya rabbal alamin. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Rektor Institut Teknologi Bandung akan menutup sidang terbuka Institut Teknologi Bandung.
Rector of Institut Teknologi Bandung will officially close the session.
Hadirin yang saya hormati, dengan limpahan rahmat Tuhan yang Maha Pengasih, seluruh acara sidang terbuka Institut Teknologi Bandung pada hari Rabu tanggal 22 Maret 2017 telah berlangsung dengan tertib, hikmat dan lancar. Institut Teknologi Bandung mengucapkan terima kasih atas perhatian dan kesabaran hadirin dalam mengikuti acara ini sampai dengan selesai. Maka dengan ini kami nyatakan sidang terbuka Institut Teknologi Bandung resmi ditutup. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Rektor, Majelis Wali Amanat, Senat Akademik, para guru besar beserta pimpinan Institut Teknologi Bandung dan tamu kehormatan akan meninggalkan ruangan.
Rector, Board of Trustees, Academic Senate, Professor and Executive of Institut Teknologi Bandung, and honorable guests to leave the assembly hall.
Hadirin dimohon berdiri.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise.
Hadirin disilakan duduk kembali.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
Hadirin, dengan demikian sidang terbuka Institut Teknologi Bandung dalam rangka penganugerahan Doktor Kehormatan kepada Profesor Dr. Peter Agre telah selesai.
Ladies and gentlemen, the open session of Institut Teknologi Bandung for the awarding of honorary doctor to Professor Dr. Peter Agre has come to an end.
Akhirnya, atas perhatian hadirin kami ucapkan terima kasih dan selamat siang.
Thank you for your participation and have a good day.